So I absolutely love this time of the year. There are so many awesome horror games out there, and especially on the Nintendo Switch. These are going to be some of those retro-inspired classics and just amazing games that you have to play on the Nintendo Switch. So let's go ahead and check these games out. So first up, we have Retro Realms double feature. We have Ash vs. Evil Dead and Halloween. Just two great games in one. They really do a fantastic job with these. And of course they are going to fit in with this theme because you have the 16-bit art style, and I just love how there's so much variety. These are these retro side scrollers. You have like 10 different levels, 5 worlds. There's tons of bonuses to unlock in this game, and there's just so many different enemies. It's just a lot of fun. There's tons of blood, tons of gore. It really does get crazy as you're playing it. It looks fantastic, and it just has a lot going on. So this one is definitely a great way to start out and just have a great time. So definitely a major first pick because this one I have not been able to stop playing. And then of course next up we have Streets of Red. This is a fantastic game that I absolutely love just because it has so much when it comes to pop culture of movies, video games, these different references that are in this particular game. And I feel like it's just a lot of fun. You have this whole like zombie apocalypse. You have 4 playable characters. You get to unlock more as you go. The levels are so different. You have different specials, special attacks, and you get to upgrade your characters. It's just a classic arcade beat 'em up, and it really does feel great as you're playing. But it does have some weird quirkiness to it because these like characters, they're like enhanced versions of these cosplayers. So it's just a really fun time, and I just love how this game looks. I love how it feels, and like it says, Streets of Red, you're literally like painting the areas red with blood. So it's just a fun one to go through and play. Each time that I play it, I play a little bit different, and I just love playing this one co-op. It's really a fantastic time. And then of course a nod to like Simon's Quest. That's what this game reminds me of. This is Infernax. So this one really does have this like classic feel of those NES titles. This is a side-scrolling action adventure title. You have different like items and magic, and death has a unique cutscene animation in this game. So that is definitely unique with this particular game. You know, your home is in danger and you have to expel evil creatures and save your home. So this one just really does have that classic vibe, and it's really a lot of fun to play on the Nintendo Switch. Next up, I would have to say Eternum EX. This one is a really fun one that does look a little familiar too. So this one is like that whole Ghosts and Goblins platformer. You know, you have this like arcadey style, but it's in the 16-bit classic. I love these horror-like monsters in this game. The boss fights are also fantastic. And of course, you're pretty much just going around jumping and moving, and you have to collect all the treasure chests. So there are different ways to open some of them, so you'll have to figure that as you go through. There are 5 worlds and 5 different levels. So you have on that 5th level, this amazing like tower climb level. Really does feel that intense as you're going up, and it does ramp up with tons of enemies on the screen as you keep on going through. So this is one that you just don't want to miss out on. Now, of course, on my list, I would have to include Zombies Ate My Neighbors and Ghoul Patrol. This was a fantastic like dual pack that they did. Very similar games, but just staples of my childhood. Playing Zombies Ate My Neighbors on the Super Nintendo, even the Sega Genesis, just really difficult as I remember, and just going back and reliving those moments, you know, from like the 90s. This is a really fun pack here, so it's definitely a cult classic, but this is a port of the game, so there isn't really too much extra going on with it. Now, of course, a lot of people missed out on Ghoul Patrol, which is the sequel. It has those more lively animations. But these games have tons of items to collect. They're definitely brutal games because there are tons of enemies and they just keep on respawning. And you have to go through a little bit more strategically as you're exploring. You have these large maps and you have to rescue people. But these are just a lot of fun, and it's always one that I love to pick up and play just throughout the year because it is such a nostalgic game for me, and I absolutely love all of these like cool little craziness things that are going on in this game. So Carrion is one that I have recently discovered, and it is a rather unique game. It's just something special about it. So this one you have to take on the role of the creature, and you pretty much have to break free. So you need to do that. You have to go around and travel and just try and get creative with it. You got to use your powers, use your stealth, or you could just like go full in against the humans. So you are unlocking new powers as you go, and you get to eat the humans. But there's just something unique about this because the character, or like this creature that you are, really does transform, and you have to adapt with it. But there's just something so special about this game, and it's so different from the others on this list, so you definitely have to check it out when you can. Now, this is one that was a lot of fun when I first started playing it. This is Rack and Ruin. It says an appetite for destruction. So I got this version from Premium Edition Games, and this is like this grand adventure, and it has magic and wonder. Now, it kind of does have like this darker tone to it because you are like this maniacal, demon wizard. So that's kind of where you're getting those like horror vibes, but it is more of like a top-down action adventure game and a classic arcade shooter. So this does kind of remind me of like Invader Zim meets Zelda, and you get to navigate through the land that you have to conquer. I love the soundtrack in this game. It's definitely fantastic. There are tons of dungeons to explore. You have different abilities, different spells. You get to talk to others in this game, and you're like shooting and soul collecting throughout it. But this is just a really fun game that you definitely have to check out. Now, there is a game called Castilla EX, and that one is a really fun Switch game. So pretty much it's like this 2D action platformer full of creatures from medieval myths from Spain and Europe. And this is the English translation because it is actually another name as well. But this is kind of like that Ghosts and Goblins, like that Ghouls and Ghosts, but it's not as difficult. It's kind of like a tribute to these arcade platformers, and it's just really neat. So anytime around the holidays, I love playing these types of games, especially when they're not as challenging as Ghosts and Goblins or Ghouls and Ghosts. I feel like I will never beat those games. But this one does have a lot going on, and there's just something really fun about it. Now, Halloween Forever is like this cutesy game, but of course it has Halloween in the name. And this was one that I actually played on the PlayStation 4 back in the day, and I had a blast playing through it. So this one is kind of like that cutesy game. You have this 2D action platformer. I love how the pixels pop, and it definitely is like a love letter to those classic gems. You can turn on 99 lives. That's what I did when I played, because it can be a little bit challenging at times, but you have to unlock some things to come back. And I do like how there is like this Christmas Santa pumpkin who like spits out these presents. So you can actually play it around Christmas as well. But pretty much you're just jumping around and you are spitting out candy corn as your projectiles. It's very odd, but it is super different. So this is quite a few different enemy types in this particular game. And you have like these big chunky pixels for the like mega bosses. And I love how you have certain enemies like these chainsaw wielding enemies. You have like monsters and just so much more. So it definitely fits that like horror vibe. And it is a little bit different because it does have like a more cutesy tone and just like brighter colors than some of these other games on this list. And then of course a robot named Fight. This is another really fun game. So this one, you have to check it out. It's like a roguelike Metroidvania game, and it's from Premium Edition as well. This is like Super Metroid and Binding of Isaac. So there's like over 100 unique items in this game. You have to explore. You have to make it to the mega boss. You have these different unique enemy types, and it's meant to be played multiple times just because there is so much to explore and unlock. So this is one that you can actually play over again. You have that replayability. Quite a few of these games you actually have that, so I really like that when it comes to these Nintendo Switch games. It's just so much fun exploring the entire library and just seeing which games I can add onto my list next, just because there are so many nods to these classic games. And then of course, around spooky season, I always want to play these horror games and just have a really great time. So I want to know in the comments down below, Are there any of these like retro inspired horror games that I missed on the list here? I know there are tons of these like Metroidvania games that I've missed. I feel like I could do a whole separate video on those. I even just picked up a few more and one that's like super unique, so you'll have to stay tuned for that. But I just want to know which horror games are your go-to on the Nintendo Switch. And of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out all of my other videos and stay tuned for more.